What is the room for film and analog shooting nowadays? Is it possible to shoot film and analog for jobs, projects, and work? Yes and no. It really depends on the client and the project you have at hand. From day one, our studio really shoot almost 100% digital for all the projects that we have done. And that is mainly because of the time constraint and the cost control of shooting digitally. And so film just kind of put aside as an alternative process, something that is kind of luxury, but the client doesn't really need that luxury, or they even don't see the need or the difference that it brings to the table. Now, shooting film has a few merits to it. Film is something of the past, so immediately it associates with nostalgia. It also doesn't have the kind of detail that digital brings to the table, where all the details become so perfect that it loses the romantic quality and the cinematic quality of the image and the subject. So it actually tells a story in a more cinematic way. It doesn't have to be all perfectly shown and sharpened to the way that we don't really need that much information. We just want to get a whole feeling and the mood of the image. So for those kind of subjects, it actually works a lot better for it. But for some others that you need to be very clear and precise and more kind of clinical in terms of look, it might work against you. It prolongs the waiting time and the expectation of the client, so that everyone is waiting for that preview of the scan, and everyone seems to be working together to cook something up. And when they see it, they're so happy and excited for it. That also has a different benefit because film is something a bit more rare nowadays, so it adds value to the project and also has a different talking point and something to talk about in the social realm for the client as well. So my question is, why can't we do both digital and analog for a particular shoot and project? So our studio had a request for a fashion shoot by a local brand, counting down on 3 things. One is that they're going to launch their collection. Second, they're going to do a pop-up store in Tokyo. And third, they're also doing a pop-up store here locally in Hong Kong with an exhibition area for a few work printed. Now we went to the meeting with them and all really excited about the whole project and the shoot and how to kind of approach the shoot, how to do the art direction. And we planned on shooting their collection, all the mood shots for the lookbook and all that, and also doing a short video for promotion as well and for social. And so we've finished the meeting at the end deciding of doing both of those things with the art direction out of the way, with the budget out of the way. We're down to location scouting around town. There's already a lot going on and we have to do a lot, but maybe we can also just push ourselves even more. With the style of the brand is very much a controlled palette. They have a very raw and minimal look to their design. The designs has emphasis on texture, on functionality, and on cutting. So we were thinking, it actually has quite a raw feel to their designs. Why don't we shoot film as well? Now, shooting the whole collection in film is just practically impossible for the constraint of time. Also, giving the client confidence that we have the shots. You know, if you shoot film, you can't really show them you have it. To adjust for that, we were thinking maybe we can just bring a film camera and see what kind of gems we can capture and find after the shoot that we can use at the end. And we brought our film camera with all the other things that we have to do with this, which is shooting the whole collection, all the mood shots, and also doing a short video capturing all of that. So this is the film that we're using is the Pro 400H series by Fujifilm, and it's really good, versatile film grain structure. It has a 160 series as well, which is good for sunny day like today, but this is what I have and I'm just going to use it. It's very similar to the Kodak Portrait series, but with the Fuji, it's a bit more on the cool side. This is a Hasselblad 500 series. And there's a story behind this camera, but maybe I'll leave it to another video. Today we're just going to load this guy up. So you want to make sure that you get that down because when we do go through 12 frames, we want to change films, and on the location you might be under pressure, there might be strong sunlight, and you're also sweating a lot as well, which I do a lot. And so you want to make sure that your film changing process is really kind of second nature, so you don't have to think about it so much. So close the back. You want to make sure you pull the lever out before you take your first exposure. All right. So in the end, the client loved the film images, and they decided to use some of those that we picked, selected, and retouched for the exhibition area in the local pop-up store. And that exhibition kind of like wraps the brand up because it shows that the brand has the artistic side and the kind of craftsmanship. It's willing to go the extra mile. So that kind of message is conveyed through the work as well. For the digital pictures, they use most of that for the collection launch, for all the email, the websites, and the social feeds as well. That's about it. I mean, is there room for digital and analog exist together in nowadays world? Yes, there is. You just have to find the right client and the right project to do it. If you have a passion for it, and you can always shoot film on the side on your own projects, but if you want to use that for someone else, for the clients, you have to really make it to work. So if you think that you're learning something new so far, please remember to like and subscribe and hit that bell button so you are continuing to support this channel so that more people can see this video and help them as well. A quick run through on how we do scans here is we use an Epson V800 flatbed scanner. You can also shoot your negative with your digital camera with the maximum resolution, a macro lens, a LED screen, and then a tripod. Lots of tutorials on that, lots of tutorials talking into the technical side of scanning and getting the best scans. For us, it's just a simple workflow to get you started of what we do here. You get your film developed from the lab, and then we're gonna pop it into the Epson V800 scanner, a flatbed scanner that just does a good overall job with positive, negative, found objects, body parts, it's just all rounded. It's great. Once you popped it in, you want to make sure that it's dust free. You can use a can air or a pump. Now for softwares, we use the Epson Scan that comes with the scanner. It's free, it does the job. You can also use Silverfast or Negative Lab Pro. Those has a charge for them. And for the purpose of scanning, we want to capture the most information as possible, as neutral as possible, so that we can edit later on. So we don't really fiddle around with the colors and the contrast. Image type, you can select 24-bit color if you want a bit more detail and doing quite a lot of retouch work. You can select 48-bit color and converting it later. For now, we're just going to choose 24-bit. The optimum resolution for the Epson scanner for positive is 4800, and for negative, the particular area that it focuses on is 6400. We're talking about the optical resolution, and anything above that is not the optical resolution, which is not suggested. Know that your output size, if your output size is say 10 times the size of the film, the negative, for the 120 film that we shot with the Hasselblad 500 series, it's the size of 6 by 6 centimeter. So if you're doing a 10 times of that, so 60 by 60 centimeter, print that at 300 dpi, it's 10x, it's 10 times, which for the scanner, it has a 3200 dpi selection to it. I think for the purpose of this tutorial, we're just going to do 2400 to save time, and not going to fiddle with a lot of the color management. We're going to select TIFF, which gives us a high quality uncompressed file. You can select JPEG if you have absolutely running out of space. Choose the folder where it goes. Click preview. The scanner is going to run through a quick scan, a low resolution thumbnail kind of scan to give you a preview of how the film rests on the surface. Once we select this particular area, it will know that this is the negative that is scanning. So we're going to choose the first image, and everything is set already, and we're going to do scan, and we can grab a coffee while we're doing that. Okay, we have our file scanned in the TIFF format in the particular folder that we have assigned. Just going to bring this into Photoshop and show you how it looks like. Okay, so here I'm just going to use the crop tool just to quickly rotate the image. A lot of times people like to include the negative film border to show that it is film. You would have to remove the film holder in order to capture that, because the film holder kind of crops that out. For my purpose, this time I don't really want to include it. It's a little pretentious. So I'm just gonna have the film border, the part that's black, slightly extended. Now for the image itself, the film is pretty soft scan. You can see there's a lot of dust in the middle, which I didn't do a very good job. So for actual purpose, I would actually rescan this using a can air spray to really get the dust out. But this is a great example to show you what happens if you have the dust and you keep on spraying, it's still not getting off. You can either use the spot healing tool in Photoshop to just automatically generate what information is next to it to remove all the dust spot. If you have bigger pieces, sometimes I like to use the patch tool because it actually controls which area to sample and not just automatically generated. So the patch tool is also your friend. And doing this a lot sometimes can hurt your wrist, so I strongly recommend using a pad and a pen. If you don't, which is fine, you can still use your mouse. It will not kill you. Now, what other things that we can do? Looking at the image, I would bring out the curve and just give a little bit of S-curve to the image, bring down the quarter tone and the 3/4 tone, bring it up to 3/4 tones. There has been details, but we sometimes don't need all the details. We want the image to pop a little bit. And for color adjustments, maybe the image looks a bit cool on the colder side. It was shot on a Fujifilm, which tends to have a little bit of the cool tone to it. I'm just going to go into red. It's the opposite color of cyan. It just, increase that a little bit. And then go into the green channel. Maybe I add a little bit of green, give it some yellow. And to do that, we want to bring down the blue. Now, blue is opposite as yellow in the RGB color space. It's not the opposite of yellow for painting, however. Apart from that, I want to create a little bit of a vignette effect. So I will go into quick mask mode and just do a gradient quick mask. To select the area that I want to increase the darkness, I want to choose the curve and just darken that a little bit more. So now our eyes just goes to the area of, where the subject is. Now, to get technical, sometimes we actually use the adjustment layers and also the layer masks to control and go back and forth. So this is a kind of advanced level of retouching, which you can actually go backwards and revisit your edit. You're shooting analog, so you want to capture that as raw as possible, right? But you're manipulating in Photoshop, and it just kind of doesn't make sense. Well, it kind of does, because in traditional process, we actually do all of that with dodging and burning in the darkroom. So Even for traditional workflow, we actually edit the image during the printing process, during the kind of printing and developing process. You can even control the contrast when you develop a raw film. I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something new. Hopefully it answers some of your questions whether to shoot film and whether film and shooting analog still has a place to exist with the fast-moving world, with the commercial world, and when you have a project on hand, can you actually use and kind of insert that passion for film into your projects, whether there's room for either of them, whether there's room for both. Please also follow me on Instagram for inspirations and updates. That is gabrielleung.jpg. If you haven't, please check out all the other videos that I've done, especially on visual language and photography. That's it. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.